Welcome back. We are taking a look at seventh grade. We are up to the atomic modeling chapter. Okay. Now, a few fun things that we do in here. The basics of this, the standards we're trying to get is, what are atoms? How did we figure out what atoms actually look like? How did they react with each other? And the very basics of how chemical reactions actually take place. The rearrangement of atoms. Now you cannot create or destroy matter. So, atomic modeling, here's the PowerPoint, the notes that I use. We did start out with a jigsaw on the atomic theory. This was good, but I found out it was a little bit technical for the kids. What I did, let's see if I can find it here. Modeling Adams notes. Let's try that, see if that was it. Yep, this is it. I gave the students, I split them into groups, and I gave them a video to start them off. So one group took a look at Crookes, watched the video, and did some research on it. Another group, J.J. Thomson, Rutherford, Niels Bohr, and I guess that's all the groups that I did. They took a look at the video. They had to figure out the experiment or what they did, what they discovered, and how that contributed to the atomic model or what the current atomic model that they came up with is. So, like I said, this was a little bit tough, but it was good for these students to be challenged a little bit. So they basically did that, and then we talked about, we went over it. Each group kind of shared a little bit about what they discovered, what happened there. Okay. Start out then talking about nucleus. So the atoms, the pieces of the atom, the protons, the neutrons, the electrons, stuff like that. Then we went ahead and we made models of our atoms. We did the Bohr model essentially, put on white paper. We used hole punchers just to make protons. We just used red construction paper and punched out some protons, green for neutrons, black for electrons. We drew our orbitals with markers, and then the kids glued down with glue sticks, obviously, the dots to make these different atoms right here: hydrogen, lithium, carbon, oxygen, phosphorus, and calcium. So that was a lot of fun, and it was good to give the kids something hands-on, but something a little more concrete to be able to see. Then we moved into Mendeleev and how he came up with the periodic table. Then we took a look at different families in the periodic table. Once again, I split up the kids into groups. These were the different groups right here: alkali metals, alkaline earth metals, transition metals, halogens, and noble gases. There's more families, but those are the most interesting ones and the ones I wanted to cover. I did talk about the rest of them with the kids as well, but these are the ones I had the kids make prezzies on. In their Prezi, they had to cover where it's found, what the properties were, how many electrons are in the outer shell, who they react with, and why. And this needed, they needed some guidance in this to figure out, and they had to find a cool video having to do with their family. And there are so many great videos out there having to do with fire in these families, so they had a lot of fun with that. Okay, we showed the Prezzies to each other just to learn about it a little bit more, and you'll see that later on. Let's see here. There's an example Prezi from me. Then we use the ball and stick models. Those are in my closet, and we tried building different things. I'd give them water, H2O, 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen. Go ahead and see if you can figure out how to put it together, and then I'd give them the answer. Oxygen, figure out a little double bonding. Ethanol, sugar, we tried. And then of course my favorite, caffeine, right there. Now I gave them the picture for caffeine and see if they could go ahead and build it. I didn't have them try and figure it out on their own. That'd be a little bit too hard. We did some ionic bonding. These are the different examples that we then drew ionically bonded. We took a look at covalent bonding, how that's different, how they're sharing electrons instead of stealing electrons. And we went ahead and we drew these different molecules right here. Okay? All right. Then we wanted to go on to basically we use some stop motion photography to teach about chemical reactions and how the different little atoms get rearranged. So we watched a couple stop motion videos. This one's a fun one right here. It's the world's smallest one. It's made by IBM. It's using an electron scanning tunneling microscope. And all these are just individual little atoms that they moved around using lasers to make that little video. Here's the world's dumbest video. This is just, I was just using the stop motion app on the iPads just to figure it out and figure out how to do it. You're going to have to use the wood frames, the frames that we made out of 2x4s, to hold the iPads over the whiteboards. And it works really well to go ahead and, because that way the iPad doesn't move around and you can make the stop motion videos very easily. Okay. Here's an example one that I showed them, an example reaction, just burning methane to make carbon dioxide and water. Yeah, and so we took a look at that and how to do that. The stop motions. Get rid of that. Go back to atoms. Cool. So that's that right there. The worksheets and notes and stuff to go along with are right here. Worksheet on developing the atomic theory. Periodic table, I printed out a periodic table for each student, and so they had one in their notebook. Atomic families chart. Let's go ahead, take a look at that. That is where I had them, when the kids did their prezzies, I had the rest of the students fill this stuff in here just to learn about it, so they had their notes in a nice organized way. And they could see the different families. Obviously, it was more in one class, and so there's more than one set of notes. Modeling atom notes. Let's see here. Oh, that's what we were talking about before. That was the jigsaw activity that we did. Feedback form. As the kids looked at the prezzies, I just had them give feedback to the group that was presenting. We did spend some time to talk about what's constructive criticism, what's helpful criticism, stuff like that, so that you didn't get just dumb things, but you got real good constructive criticism and how to hone our communication skills. Then we went into calorimetry. This is just a quick little thing about the notes that I did for calorimetry. Yeah, I want to go through it. I won't explain it. You can read through that. But then the students made their own calorimeter. And just go Google DIY calorimetry. You can see how different people have made it using pop cans or soup cans and stuff like that. And then what we did is we burnt a Frito. And based on how much energy, how much heat came off the Frito and heated up water, we figured out how many calories are in a Frito. So that was a lot of fun to do. Here's just like a little lab sheet just to help them organize what was going on and figure out how many calories were in a Frito chip. At the end then I revealed how many calories are actually in a Frito. I had no idea that Fritos, once you light them on fire, they continue to burn, but hey, that's awesome. So yeah, like I said, at the end I showed them how many calories are actually in a Frito. See how close they got, the vocab terms they need to know for this unit, the review questions, and then the test. Hope this helps. Use what you like, use what you can, use what resonates with you. And that's it for that.